Well, he's, fuck off.
Shame on Matthew Tate for saying that. But Shearer saying that how long can he stay at Tottenham? He can go and do one now.
But the thing is, though, you mentioned about Kane and sort of all the negativity and all that. A picture that I see constantly on Twitter from rival fans, and they say, "What if Kane passed the ball to Sterling at this point?"
Oh,
was it in the Euros or the? He was offside, for fuck's sake. I mean, why do they keep banging on about it? This Twitter propaganda that's just twisting, warping, and distorting.
It's a wind-up. It's a wind-up, Jay. You know that.
People get
it's like...
I know, but I'm nearly 40 now, and everything just really pisses me off. I'm getting angry, yeah.
Getting old, that's what it is, mate.
Bit like you miserable git.
Hey, I've never hidden from what I am. I'm quite happy to admit where I am and what I am. There's no problem with that.
You know what you are.
I know what I am. But just one person that I want to bring out, and he kind of infuriates in equal measure, I think, and pleases in equal measure, because he doesn't get the praise in terms of defensive quality that he should do, and I think he could have done better for the goal, but. Aurier had Zaha in his pocket yesterday, to the extent that Zaha actually was shifted inside and was shifted centrally. Sorry?
He went into the centre, Zaha.
Yeah, to get away. And that was because Aurier had pocketed him and was he was giving him little nudges, giving him digs, trying to get him wound up, really trying to get him to lose his temper. And there was a lot of cleverness in actually what Aurier did in terms of managing Zaha and actually defended him. I don't think that he didn't really struggle that much, considering he got dog's abuse, and he was still checking to it yesterday. I was still seeing Aurier is the shittest player I've ever seen, and I think people just
get him out of the club. I've seen it. Watford and Troy Deeney, and they bigged him up all the way through the game. I was right on the touchline. Lucky my boss is a Watford fan. Obviously they've gone down, but we drew 0-0. They missed a penalty, but I was right on the touchline, and Serge you don't know how strong he is. He is mustard. His strength is incredible, and they kept on tapping him on the back, the Watford players, especially Troy Deeney, and you could hear Troy Deeney all the way through the game. We was a bit quiet, to be honest with you, but he was a big character in the game.
He does get a lot of stick. He does. And I think that's, there's been times where it's, rightly so. And unfortunately, things like that do stick. It's hard to shift that kind of, he's awful. He can't do this, can't do that. Look at Sanchez as another key example. I personally think Sanchez had a great season. I think he's maybe the one or two games here or there. He's been how he used to be, like misjudge it, didn't know when to come, didn't know when to stay. But I actually think he's had a really good season. I don't think he'll get any plaudits for it, and I don't think he'll get much credit for it. But he should, because I think he's come on leaps and bounds. He was how he was in the first season. Then he kind of fell out of favour again, had a bit of a rocky patch last year. But I think he's been pretty solid. I think, obviously all the unfortunate things that have happened to Aurier in the last couple months, like last month or so with his brother, I actually think he's had some of the best games I've ever seen him play for us. Yeah, and look, you can look at it and say he's a bit of a liability, but there's attributes that I think he could do much better at. I also think sometimes he'll cross the ball beautifully, and 9 times out of 10 he won't. But then when he hits that one, you're like, unbelievable. Why can't you do that every time?
Yeah. And he's one of, is he our third highest assist person this season? So like the people generalise and they go, well, he can't cross. Well, he must be able to cross because he's set up goals from crossing. He can't defend. Well, he must be able to defend.
Assists, I mean. Yeah,
exactly. So there must be something to his game. And I did see, there was an argument going on about it today, and someone was going, well, you're moaning about him, but yet still both Mourinho and Pochettino both chose him. And, it's not to say that we didn't have other options. We did have other options, but they felt that, obviously, of the options we had, like Foyth, Walker-Peters, playing Sanchez wide, playing Dyer can play there, Alderweireld can play there, Tanganga, when he wasn't injured, could play there. So he was still getting ahead of all of those options, about 6 people that can play in that position. So there must be something to his game.
You also have to look at the fact that we sold Trippier. So Trippier, I mean, look, everyone was on Trippier's back last season. That was for sure. like number one target. I mean, and he didn't have a great season. You know, he really didn't. But I think that when you realise that Aurier was your only right back, you know, I get you like to, you know, that sometimes the playing out of position and stuff, but you kind of want to play the position. It's enough with the square pegs in the round holes. I feel like we've done it quite a few times. And I think that if you've got an out-and-out right back, then play him there. But I think people also compare our fullbacks to Rose and Walker of 2016-17. And they're not going to... Davis and Aurier are not Rose and Walker. They're never going to be. But... And it actually kind of like clicked in my head today a bit when I was like seeing everything that was happening with, you know, Jan, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And just seeing obviously him kind of leaving the club. Obviously Dembele left 18 months ago. Ericsson has obviously left. Poch is gone. And it just kind of feels like so that project's dead. That project's kind of gone now. And it's just the start of the whole new cycle. And like, that's what happens in football. There is always peaks, there's troughs, there's cycles. And I think for us, this was probably one of the first cycles that we've all really liked and we've all really enjoyed as a fan base.
It's noticeable.
We want to hold on to it. Yeah, of course.
It's noticeable. I mean, we've probably gone through cycles in the past, but we were so poor.
Yeah.
We didn't. You know, it wasn't really a cycle. It was just a constant cycle of drudgery. Whereas now we'd be like, well, we were really good. But, you know, why can we not stay that good when we, you know? And Poch said it. We need to, you know. It was going to be the start of a new project and we needed to prepare for that, and it was going to be painful and it's going to be a massive rebuild. And I think part of the issue was that we didn't put we didn't bed the foundations in a lot earlier. So, you know, a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 seasons ago, actually start bringing in players that, you know, that would be the successors already. So then, like, you know, when Jan left, then you say, right, okay, and maybe that's what they've been trying to do with Sanchez. When Sanchez came in, for example, that was part of the process of trying to, you know, replace the likes of Jan and Toby. You know,
that was for Sanchez.
Yeah.
He's only still young, and we forget about that. He's been with us he's played a few games. He's only 23 or 24 now, and he's got a lot more to give. His distribution has got to improve. Obviously, the reading of the game is going to come. It's going to be a lot better when he comes. You was right, Abby, what you said about his reading of the game. He gets a bit jittery coming for balls and gets caught out sometimes. But when he's playing alongside Toby, he's fine. Like I would have liked to seen Eric Dyer in front of Dave Everton and Toby, and probably Cisco given a break. Let him play in there with Harry Winks. I would have preferred that on against Palace. Give it a go.
Also, just to make a point as well, Abby mentioned about Rose and Walker and that outstanding season that they had. They were both playing for transfers that season. They absolutely played out of their skin. They wanted out of Spurs, and they played to get out of Spurs. So they did all of that for themselves, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, we need to be at the point, I think, with Mourinho now that we're not seen as a stepping stone. We're seen as an actual, real, legit club that will be up there and will be there challenging for proper honours rather than players just use like Southampton players. Like, you know, they jump from Southampton to us and then on to somewhere else. We need to
Liverpool.
Yeah, precisely that. But yeah, that's the one thing I'd say. Rose and Walker were absolutely playing out of their skin that season, so they could both go to Man City or somewhere else for the big dollars. So
it's not necessarily. It's not even about the dollars, is it? Well, it is, but it's not necessarily about that. It's about the virtual guarantee. You know, they know kind of with the structure and the setup that you're going to get at City and Liverpool and United, and I'm not going to say the blue side of London. You know, those they know. But going to those types of clubs with the setup that they've got, the intention is to win stuff. Whereas there isn't that vibe about Spurs. There really isn't still, and this is what Mourinho is going to change. You know, whether it be by dour football, as people want to call it, whatever. He's going to, you know, that was the message. Like, you know, there's been a lot of stuff about, you know, why he celebrated on the side. And I looked at it and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like, why are they jumping up and down like this? You know what I mean? But that was my immediate reaction. But then when I sat back and reflected, it was like, okay, I get it. You know, like, this is a message that we're sending out to the players. Right, we're in the Europa League now. We're in the Europa League to win it. You know, and we're, you know, they're a club that want to win stuff. You know, and that's going to be the way forward for the club. You know, and
And that was also a nice little bit of footage for the Amazon documentary.
Exactly.
So woohoo! Look what we've done.
And that's the conclusion of the season, isn't it? With them celebrating, and that's that'll be the end credits on this.
It's all scripted. It's all scripted. It's all a fudge.
Even Wolves falling on their sword.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all a fix.
Bless them. Well done to them. Well done to them, because they've been quite exciting this season, and to fuck it up in the last minute is, it's magnanimous. Anyway,
Adam Rory, I'd take him.
Yeah.
But you take him at the club rather than take him in a fight, I guess.
Bad, but yeah, I'd take him at the club.
Right. Anyway, so we'll move on. So, we move on to, I guess, talking about Jan, and we can talk about Michel Vorm first. Because everyone's like, well, Jan's gone, and it's like, well, yeah, and Michel Vorm. So we can have a quick word. Well done, Michel. Thanks for the contribution in the FA Cup.
Cheers for that, mate.
Yeah. Cheers. But on to more positive things. So Jan, I mean, I was pretty disappointed actually that he didn't get a game yesterday, because, as I said, I thought Davies had a poor second half. So actually, he could have actually brought Jan on without it just being like a gesture. He could have brought Jan on and played him at left back, and he would have probably contributed better.
But he would have scored.
Davies. He might. Well, yeah, he would have done, because he one last opportunity to pull out the Super Jan celebration, so he would have gone for it. But yeah.
At the same time, if he went out yesterday and then got injured and then couldn't sign for another club because of that?
He's on a free, isn't he? So they just wait for him.
Yeah, that's true.
He's on a free. His contract expired, so he's on a free. He can go and pick a club now, as long as they give him.
That's the thing. You go out though, break your leg, you're out for 6 months, never the same player again. It's always a risk, isn't it? Maybe that was part of the reasoning behind not bringing him on.
You are such a cheerful bugger, aren't you? You really are. I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off there, because obviously, Abby, you're our guest, so I'm going to give you an opportunity just to have your say, whatever you would like, however you'd want to say, and sum up Jan's time or with the club.
I mean, he's always been one of my favourites. In recent history, I think he's been a complete Rolls Royce of a defender. He's been so good. I mean, even going back to that Dortmund game, which seems so far away now, but it actually wasn't that long ago. And that was for me his proper last game for us, because I think he went on a bit of a decline after that, and you just kind of saw him decline a bit more and more every game and lose his legs. Yeah. But I just think he's been outstanding. I mean, defensively, he's been so solid. He's been a leader from the back, and watching that video that Tottenham did today, that thank you Jan video, was actually quite emotional, because again, it was another piece of the puzzle that was there that we should have definitely won something with that team, and it's gone now. But I think that, look, Toby will probably stay another season. I reckon a season, maybe two at a push, but I think that it will be the same thing, and he'll end up moving on. And it's like we said, it goes in cycles. But for me, he was one of my favourites, and it'll be weird not seeing him in the squad, but obviously we've kind of got used to not seeing him in the starting 11. Would have liked to see him come on, even if it was the last kick of the game, the last sub to come on. I think he would have deserved that, to see him put on the jersey one more time. But I think that they'll probably do something for him, because it's a shame to be there 8 years. Obviously, he might not get a testimonial, but he might get a little something coming back when everyone's back at the stadium, and just a proper goodbye. Because for someone to give 8 years of service and be outstanding for pretty much the whole 8 years and not have a proper send off, I think it's a bit of a shame for him. But yeah, I guess we move on to new chapters. Obviously, Tanganga signed that new deal today, and you just got to kind of look ahead, look to the future, look to the new players coming through, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the video, and I think the thing about that video from the club was them talking about him as a person, and how much how big a personality he was, and how well liked he was within the squad, and how popular he was within the squad because of his personality, his character, his humour, and everything that you don't kind of associate with him. And I agree. I like you. He was one of my favourite defenders, probably for me, more so than Toby. Everyone loves Toby and thinks that he's, out of the two, they rate him the best